fight fans? We got ourselves fight week. We got Anderson Silva versus Jake Paul. Yes, guys, I know it's not as big of a fight week than we had the prior week with UFC 280. That was a pretty big one, but this one is going to be pretty big as well, pretty highly anticipated as well. If you guys want to really get into it, because if you really think about it, the MMA community and the boxing community have been going head to head with this whole Jake Paul thing. I remember even Dana White saying that he wants Jake Paul to fight a boxer and that he wants him to fight Anderson Silva. So here it is, it's happening. And I know the boxing community has always talked about how he needs to fight a boxer. He needs to fight a boxer, and he's always boxing these other guys, such as a Tyron Woodley, as a Ben Askren, and these other few well-known MMA fighters, I guess you could say. Both of them were MMA fighters, but then he's gotten under, like, with the basketball player. I can't remember what that guy's name was, and a different YouTuber, I believe it was. So yeah, he's had some work done, but never really against a high-level striker. Well, this is his chance, because Anderson Silva is the highest of high-level strikers that he's ever going to go against. To be honest with you, I still believe he's by far one of the highest strikers ever in the UFC world. If you really think about it, think about another fighter who is just as a high-level striker. Like, you put Anderson Silva in his prime against some of these other guys in their prime, just Anderson Silva was just untouchable. We remember watching him back in our day. We remember watching him against that Forrest Griffin fight, against Dan Henderson, against Rich Franklin. Now, I know what you guys are saying. This is not going to be an MMA fight. This is going to be a boxing fight. And you're right. But regardless of that, Anderson Silva is still a very excellent high-level striker. And he's had some boxing fights. We just saw him against Tito Ortiz, knocked him out. We saw him against Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and had his way with him. Very good. And as Julio Cesar Chavez is a former middleweight champion. So, and then even prior to that, he actually had a boxing fight in his earlier MMA days. So, Anderson Silva is no stranger to the boxing world, to the striking world. He has never been a high-level grappler. He's never been really into the grappling. But don't get me wrong, he still had it, and he still had his jiu-jitsu. So, yeah, he has definitely been a well-rounded mixed martial artist, but his go-to was always striking. So here we go. Jake Paul versus Anderson Silva. Jake Paul, who has been boxing for quite some time now, I say, about 2-3 years now. He's got our attention. He's got the boxing world's attention, and that he now is going to go against the highest level striker, like I just mentioned. And his previous opponents were more grapplers. Tyron Woodley had some hands on him, but was known for his grappling. Ben Askren, of course, well-rounded, all-American grappler. He has the credentials to last for days when it comes to grappling, but never really had the hands. And so forth his other opponents. Now, I know what other people are going to say, that he actually tried to fight some other well-known boxers. Well, not extremely well-known, but under-the-radar boxers, I would call them, like Tommy Fury and Hasim Rahman. Of course, those fights fell through, with Tommy Fury not able to come to America, and with Hasim Rahman not able to make weight. So, is what it is. Those fights didn't play out. Here we are. How's it going to go down? Well, it's very hard to say and very difficult. Why I say that is because Jake Paul is younger and he is powerful. No one's ever knocked out Tyron Woodley. Regardless of Jake Paul being young in his career, regardless of the fact that he's being new to this career, you got to give him props, because nobody just knocks out anybody. You got to have skills for that. And Tyron Woodley, regardless of him being a well-rounded ground game, his ground game was phenomenal, and he has some hands, but he has more training with his hands than Jake Paul. If you add up his time, you add up his MMA career, you go back to the very beginning to all the way up until that second Jake Paul fight, he has definitely had way more training with his hands than Jake Paul. But be that as it may, Jake Paul was able to knock him out. The fights weren't great. The fights were action-packed, but nonetheless, you still got to consider that one hell of a great punch and one hell of a knockout at a higher level opponent. So that's something you got to really look at. We can't go in there and say, oh, Jake Paul is going to get crushed. Jake Paul doesn't got no hands. Jake Paul, he's only going against wrestlers. Yes, he is going to get wrestlers, but he is still developing his skill. He is still learning, and he's still becoming better little by little. And he is trying to go against guys like Tommy Fury and Hasim Rahman to get better at it. Now, I do, of course, go at him when it comes to talking about Canelo. That's just silly. Don't even stop that. Stop that 100%. Don't even talk about it. Don't even mention it. But when it comes to these other guys, I do believe he has a chance because I do believe he's getting better. And with him getting better, I do believe he has somewhat of a chance against Anderson Silva. Not a great chance because Anderson Silva, regardless of his age, that's a big factor too because he is now 46, I think 47, 48, around that time frame. He is still a very, very dangerous striker. I don't care who you are. If you've been boxing for about 5-10 years and you're about Jake Paul's age, you're going to get mollywopped by Anderson Silva, bottom line. Because Anderson Silva, regardless of his age, he will still strike the shit out of anybody today. Even he'll grapple, he'll do anything. Don't look at his age and think that's what it is. Like, no. This guy's a very, very young 47. He really didn't take too much damage in his career. Maybe he got that late kick, we remember, with Chris Weidman. That really put him out for quite some time. Sure did. But at the end of the day, he really didn't he didn't really go through a crazy amount of wars. This guy ain't no Dustin Poirier or Justin Gaethje or Marco Chandler or Eddie Alvarez or any of these other high-level fighters that kind of put their body to got their body really worked, put themselves through hell. Anderson Silva did work hard, but he never really was in any really big wars. So he is still a very young 47. So this is why it's going to be very dangerous and a very tricky fight for both fighters. Because can Anderson Silva handle the power of Jake Paul and handle that boxing skill of Jake Paul? Even though it's not a great skill, but he's still developing it into a skill. Now, can Jake Paul handle Anderson Silva's striking ability? Because he's never dealt with that before, because he's never really had that ability to do that with before. Sure, he's maybe doing it in training and in sparring, but now this is the world's watching. You're on the big stage now, so there is going to be that pressure. There is going to be that little damn, if I get knocked down, in sparring, nobody else saw it, but if I get knocked down here, the world's going to see it. So it's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. And then can he handle that speed? Because Anderson Silva is going to be faster. Can he handle that footwork? Because Anderson Silva got some amazing footwork. Anderson Silva, if he would have boxed, he would have been a one hell of a high-class, high-level boxer if he would have done that instead of MMA. Thank God he did MMA because he gave us some really memorable fights. But nonetheless, guys, so this is going to be a very fun fight. I cannot wait to see it. It is literally about what we at. We're at Tuesday now, so it's going to be a couple more days away. We got 4 more days away to go for it. I am very excited to see it. I know you guys are. Let me know in the comments on how you think it's going to go down. What is your opinion? What do you feel? What are you more leaning towards? Let me know. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.